I am not here to convince you that you have daddy issues. Hey y'all, my name is Dolores Michelle Peters, author, coach, daughter of Discernment, and I have daddy issues. So y'all, I am not here to convince you that you have daddy issues. And the moment that you decide she's trying to convince me that I have daddy issues is the moment that I become the enemy. I become the projection screen. I become the target of your unchecked daddy issues. Y'all, I know that dynamic all too well. Why? Because there was a time when I did the same thing. Anybody who got too close to my truth became the enemy. They became the problem. Not my father, not the story, the person holding the mirror. So let me be clear. I am not here to diagnose you. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to force you to claim a label that you're not ready for. Here's what I'm saying. We all have daddy issues in some form. Some of us had absent fathers. Some of us had harsh fathers. Some of us had the charming double life fathers. Some of us had exhausted fathers who loved us but still left wounds. Some of us had good dads and still carry deep confusion, fear, or people pleasing that's tied to us and tied to them. Daddy issues is just my shorthand for what your father did, what he didn't do, who you had to and what you had to become around him, what you still carry because of it. See, we have a tendency to hear that phrase and we either use it as an insult to shame other women, or we reject it so hard that we block our own healing. So I'm inviting you to a different perspective, a different posture. What if you assumed we all have daddy issues? Not as a curse, not as a joke, but as a starting point. And it's not to excuse your behavior or to excuse anyone else's behavior, but to understand, to hold up a light and say, this is part of my story, and it is not all of who I am. When you accept that every daughter has some kind of father wound, big or small, a few very powerful things can happen. First, you stop weaponizing it. You stop weaponizing it against other women and yourself. You stop saying, she has daddy issues, like you're above it. Because you're not. I'm not. None of us are. Second, you stop using it as a shield for yourself. You don't get to say, well, I have daddy issues, like it's a hall pass to keep hurting people. No. You notice the pattern. You take responsibility for that reaction. You choose to heal instead of hiding behind a label. Each daughter is responsible for herself. That's the part that nobody can do for you. Your father may never apologize. Your family may never admit what happened. Your church, your community, your ex may never own their part. And you are still responsible for how you respond, for how you heal, for how you treat people now, and for how you choose to show up going forward. That is not blame. That is power. Have you ever waited for someone else to change so that you could finally feel better? You waited for your father's apology. You waited for closure from your ex. You waited for your pastor, for a parent, for a partner to say, I was wrong. See, we have a tendency to put our healing on hold until they do right. See, that is how our daddy issues keep running and ruining our lives in the background. A major shift happens when you say, I may not have caused what happened to me, but I am responsible for what I do with it now. That's where grace comes in. Grace is not, let me excuse everything and pretend it didn't hurt. Grace is, I see how brokenness flows from brokenness, and I refuse to keep letting it flow through me. I refuse to let it flow through me. Grace for your father looks like understanding he had his own wounds, refusing to spend the rest of your life obsessed with revenge. It's releasing him from this God role in your story. But grace for yourself, that looks like admitting the patterns that you're stuck in, owning the choices that you've made, and still saying, I'm not beyond healing. Grace for others may look like setting boundaries instead of cutting everyone to pieces with your pain. It's saying no without needing to destroy someone's character. And it's walking away without needing to burn it all down. Focus on your own journey. You become dangerous in the best way. Because a daughter who is doing her work, she stops chasing people who cannot love her. She stops begging for crumbs. She stops reacting to the same old script, but with a new cast. She starts raising the standard for every room she enters. But that impact, it starts with you, and then it ripples. You heal, and you show up differently in your friendships. You heal, and your children experience differently. You heal, and your voice has weight when you speak. When you speak on boundaries, when you speak on love, when you speak on faith, when you speak on discernment. See, there was a time when I thought changing the world meant changing everybody else. But now I know the most powerful shift is when a daughter changes how she sees herself. So if you feel yourself getting angry at me in this series, just pause and ask yourself, is Dolores really attacking me? Or does she touch on something I have never named out loud? And if your answer is she touched something, sit with that. Not in shame, just in honesty. You don't have to agree with me. You do not have to claim the phrase daddy issues if that feels heavy. You do not have to like me to learn from what I bring up in you. But if you stay, here's my commitment. I will not try to convince you. I will tell the truth. I will share my story, and I will point out the patterns and keep bringing the focus back to the one person who can actually change you. Because when a daughter takes responsibility for herself, for her feelings, for her choices, the ripple, the ripple does what arguments, debates, and force never could. It it changes everything. All right, y'all. So we're at the end of this video. But if something stirred up in you, right? If I touch something, sit with it, journal it, and speak to a safe person about it. Share this video with every daughter who needs to know that she is not confused. She is not wrong. She is discerning. Okay, y'all? If you like this series, please like and follow for more. I am your sister in discernment. And remember, you are important to me. I need you to survive. I love you.